Made this statement and someone on social media attacked me because I made it a couple of days ago here, but I'm going to say it again. So bring it on, whoever you are.
That's the energy we're here for.
So what I said was that a lot of our systems, and it doesn't matter what country you're in, they were based on and created on bad values. And they were systems created for a particular population and created to exclude other people. So what do I say about that? Why don't we blow up those systems and do something different? And I got into it back and forth with one of my panelists, and I said, yeah, that sounds radical. It makes people who are leading these systems, makes their skin crawl. However, what I'm trying to say is this, that we need, you could call it a new playbook, a new table, but equity is what we're talking about. So I'll stop because I could go on and on.
I wonder, that's not controversial at all. The only person who would find an issue with that statement is because they're invested in, or they benefit from that exclusion of other people, right? Mm-hmm. So it should not be something that's controversial, at least not in my books.
Well, I was called a left-wing something.
Though she may not like it, the only accurate way to describe the vision that United Way CEO Angela Williams just described is left-wing Marxism. Karl Marx, the father of socialism, believed that every society is divided into oppressors and their victims. This is what Angela Williams means when she says that the systems of government in every country were created to benefit some people and exclude others. When she mentioned blowing up those systems with radical change, she's describing a Marxist revolution. Marxists believe that a radical revolution is the only way that free market societies, which they believe are the source of oppression, can be replaced with their socialist utopian system of government, which they refer to as equity. When this moderator mentions that the only people who are opposed to Angela's Marxist equity agenda are people who benefit from the exclusion of other people, he's describing the Marxist principle of a class struggle. In Marxism, a class struggle is the continuing fight between the capitalist class, viewed as the oppressors, and the working class, seen as the victims, who are at war for political and economic power. However, class struggle hasn't resulted in a Marxist revolution here in the U.S. because our system of government provides an equal opportunity for everyone to succeed. So Marxists have shifted the way they identify oppressors away from economic classes and into social categories based on characteristics of people's identity. Because this radical Marxist ideology is so convoluted and irrational, the United Way's Equity Toolkit provides an extensive glossary of these core concepts. Standard definitions of terms like racism, the belief that some races are better than others, or the unfair treatment of someone because of his or her race, have been replaced with radical Marxist definitions based on critical race theory. For example, the United Way defines racism in 5 different categories: internalized racism, interpersonal racism, institutional racism, structural racism, and anti-black racism. This Marxist glossary continues with numerous radical terms like class, dominant culture, intersectionality, microaggressions, racial justice oppression and privilege, unconscious bias, and white supremacy culture. The sources for this glossary reads like a who's who of radical Marxist organizations that include the Annie E. Casey Foundation's 7 Steps to Embrace Race Equity, the University of Southern California Center for Equity-Mindedness, Race Forward, the Kirwan Institute for the Study of Race and Ethnicity, the People's Institute for Survival and Beyond, ClassMatters.org, now rebranded as Class Action, and Kimberly Crenshaw, the Columbia Law School professor who coined the term intersectionality. Ultimately, the goal of re-educating United Way staff, board members, and the agencies they fund is to cultivate their equity-mindedness until they are race-conscious. That's the neo-Marxist version of class consciousness, being actively aware of one's common status with others in a particular economic or social level of society. These radical neo-Marxists believe that raising awareness of one's oppression will spark a revolution by pitting one class of people against another. This is the opposite of the colorblind society that we were working toward in the U.S., best summarized by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. as a nation where people will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. But unlike Dr. King's dream for a nation that lives out the true meaning of its creed that all men are created equal, the United Way has a nightmarish agenda of pushing the U.S. from a colorblind society to one that is race-conscious and equity-focused.